Hello, fellow travelers. This is Mickey Gold. Thank you for tuning in today. Today's talk is going to be slightly different because I am addressing something called No Fap. And my issue, and I've had this issue since I've seen my first No Fap video or no pornography videos, is the fact that these are all young men addressing these issues. However, they also suggest that women follow the same guidelines. My issues with this is they are going off of books that were written by males somewhere between the 1920s and the 1940s. Some of these gurus that espouse how to control yourself, how to do wealth. Now, the term no fap might mean zero to you. No fap means no masturbation. Now, I had to ask a male colleague of mine why, because we talk about lots of things outside of work, I had to ask him why they use that term fap. And he told me it's because of the sound that it makes when males are masturbating. Now, that alone should tell us that really does not include the divine feminine in this. So we are moving into, and we've been moving into, the age of Aquarius. We still, in this country, women do not get paid equally to men for the same work and the same experience, the same schooling that men have. We still are to the point of people are saying there's no way, either side, that we can have a woman president. You know, we're still in this place where men, I've heard adult males, older than myself, say women don't enjoy sex. You know, males have needs. Women just are, that's their wifely duty. So what I'd like to do is address this. I do not believe that women should abstain from masturbating. And if you want to masturbate, if you don't want to masturbate, that's your choice. I do feel, because there have been movies and TV shows, Weeds, for instance, where they address a young boy masturbating. There have been movies like American Pie. I mean, geez, the premise on that was about sex and masturbating. Women and men are very different in experiencing sexuality and experiencing sex. Women do not, when women have an orgasm, they do not release the thing that is for creation. For instance, I understand why they want men to conserve. Like at certain times, if you are trying to conceive, that a man doesn't masturbate or doesn't spend his seed unless it's during time of conception, because you can kind of, wane out the little guys. However, women's contribution to conception is dropping an egg. So our orgasms and masturbation and sex has nothing to do with when our egg drops. So it doesn't weaken. And as a matter of fact, when you go to have be implanted with sperm to create a baby, a lot of times they'll say it's actually easier for conception if the woman has an orgasm. So, and women aren't generally, in my case, I'm only 44 years old, and I was not brought up with women should touch themselves. I was not educated about my body. There were books out, but that kind of time of passing our bodies ourselves type of things had come and gone. I mean, yes, we have feminine hygiene product commercials on TV. However, that tells me nothing about my body. And I found, by being a trainer, by being someone who does hypnotherapy, who has done life coaching, all those different sorts of things, I've had women who are much older than me talk to me about the fact they have not had an orgasm and they have children. They have had sex how many ever times, because of the fact that our bodies are very different than the male body. Males have such a different biology. For instance, the reason that women should masturbate is so that you can understand your body. So you understand what makes you feel good. Expecting a man who might be watching porn And or any movie, if you watch movies and there's a sex scene, the woman's moaning before there's anything touching places that would make her moan. You know, they get a very different opinion. I remember watching a documentary where there were female porn stars talking about the fact that sometimes I'm making noise because I'm uncomfortable on top of a rock, or this is going on, that's going on. So this doesn't teach, these are not tools to teach a man how to pleasure a woman at all. I mean, you know, like women don't go, hey, I don't have money for pizza, which, you know, so can I pay you in sex? No. A pizza costs what? Like, I don't know, because I don't eat pizza because I have an intolerance to gluten and I'm vegan. So, but I mean, like what? A pizza might cost $20. I mean, seriously? Like, invite the guy in and, you know, it's just insane. And the difference between, for instance, what men think of for pornography and what women use, like erotica-wise, what women look for in a man is very different than what men look for in a woman. Like, for instance, George Clooney is a man that has been voted, the sexiest man alive. I don't think he's overly buff. He's not particularly, I mean, he's handsome, but he's obtainable. I mean, that's an obtainable look. If you're slightly handsome and you have a great personality, you could be a George Clooney. Women don't expect men to be bursting with muscles, not to the point where they need to use steroids. However, there are men who generally, there's two types of things, and I know I'm being very, very, you know, general on stuff, and not all men, not all women. I get it. There are women who are just as bad as men, and there are men who are just as bad as women. I'm just going in the more general sense, so please forgive me. But men, when you see, for instance, figurines from sci-fi characters, the women have excruciatingly large breasts at the tiniest, teeniest waist. And, you know, by the way, guys, when women don't have body fat, it's very hard to have boobs. This is not a realistic thing. To get that look, you have to have fake boobs. Generally, if you have very low body fat, the two do not come in the same package. That's not how this works generally. I know there are exceptions to the rules. So you get these women, you have these guys who like women with really large breasts and Jessica Rabbit looking things, or some sci-fi chick that, you know, or anime chick that, like, this doesn't work. Then you have guys who like women who look like little girls. And that's not good either. You know, they want you hairless and in, you know, in the little schoolgirl uniforms with knee socks. You know, so these are generally the types of things that you get the two extremes, and you have women who are pumping up their lips, pumping up their breast, pumping up their butt, because guys have these unrealistic expectations. We aren't asking gentlemen to go get surgery to enhance any part of their body for us to love them. And also, for the most part, when women masturbate, usually it's a very different thing than when men masturbate. I know men sometimes need stimulation and they're very visual, so, you know, pictures. And the difference between, for instance, strip clubs. When you look at women who are strippers, it's not a great situation. And again, I know there's exceptions to the rules, but generally it's not a great situation when you're a woman. You have to have all sorts of things going on when you're a woman. Now, with men, when men are strippers, you know, they're dressed as cops or they're dressed as firefighters. I mean, this is the difference between what women want and what men want. Men want women generally dressed in high heels and a schoolgirl outfit or some slutty, trashy thing. Whereas, like I said, women, when they call a stripper, and this is not from my own experience or anything, but, you know, they're usually dressed as a police officer or as a firefighter or as a, you know what I mean? Like, it's a totally different world between men and women. So yes, when you're calling young men to not masturbate, or when you're calling young men to stop watching pornography, Totally agree with you. However, for women, we have not been able to explore. We have not, if you do watch porn as a woman, you see women that, again, unrealistic and just ridiculous. I actually worked at a gym where there was a lot of people in the porn industry. And the difference between the women who came in and the men who came in that were in the porn industry was huge. The guys that came in were all strutting around and they really enjoyed life. And I didn't get that vibe from the women who came in. They kind of had less of a, sense. It's two different things. It's two different worlds for how women are treated. So yes, I think men need to stop watching porn, because generally the porn they want to watch is not helpful. The women that are in the porn videos are generally people who are sexual abuse victims, generally people who have different things going on. They started as a stripper, then they moved to porn to make money. It's not a great thing. However, for women, erotica, learning about our bodies, understanding what makes us happy, what turns us on. The other thing is about our health. Now, we want to make sure that the pelvic floor muscles are really strong. There's things like Kegels to do. However, when women are really aroused, when they're really super excited, those muscles tend to really tense up. And it's very helpful to have that tension and then to have that release. For instance, one of the very, very best ways to help with menstrual cramps is have an orgasm. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm having my period, the last thing I want to deal with is having sex with a partner during my period. It's much easier you get awoken in the middle of the night with cramps, take care of it yourself. It's really important that we understand our bodies. It's really important that we understand and look at our bodies as something beautiful and not look at our orgasm is dependent on another human being. Our orgasm should be dependent on us. We should be, when we're with a partner, whether they be male or female, should be able to tell them, I like this, I like that, instead of, feeling pressure because women fake it. Women fake it a lot because there's that pressure of, I got to have an orgasm. Oh, I don't want to disappoint the person. However, it's really disturbing the fact that, again, that we're having people say, don't do this. Women's sexuality is very poorly underrepresented. I mean, we have all sorts of gross out movies for men that talk about sex, talk about all this and that. That's great. And then you have Bridesmaids? I mean, there are very few women's raunchy movies that actually talk about stuff that women feel. There are very few TV shows where women are actually talking the way women talk to each other. Sex and the City, not so much. I mean, most of us are not in high fashion, and it's kind of like, or the L word. It is not a really good representation of women or lesbians or any of that sort of stuff in the world. Not like how men get represented. This is, again, most women don't talk to their daughters about their bodies. They don't describe like, hey, this is what you can do. This is okay. This is natural. This is how you take care of yourself. I'm not saying that moms need to go in the room and, teach their daughters how to masturbate, but explain that it's okay. It's natural. We get that little boys touch their selves. We get that. I've discovered a new toy. But when you hear stories about little girls, you don't get the same cute little stories as you get about little boys. And it's time that we have an understanding. The divine feminine has been repressed women have been repressed. Women aren't getting equal treatment. We are not being treated. When a woman directs, it's a woman-directed film. Like, we don't say that about, oh, it's a dude-directed film. I mean, this is the world's very different. And to say that, and I know I went all over the place, and to come back to the No Fap, to tell women when you are not a woman yourself, to tell women that they shouldn't masturbate, really kind of stay in your own lane, bud. You know, like I said, I look up to these guys. I look for their guidance for certain things. I enjoy their content. However, this one time, I do believe you're wrong. And I do believe, again, following men from the early part of, America, from the 1920s to the 40s. I mean, some of that point, like, how long, it's just, you can go on and on, with women's studies about the inequality between women and men. And this is not bashing on men. This is just saying that please don't put that out there. Please don't make women already, for the most part, masturbation is a taboo for women. People don't talk about this. I mean, yes, you hear about vibrators, but you don't hear about, most women don't talk about manual masturbation. Most women, it's not something that is really widely talked about. It's not something that is really widely understood. And it should be something that we talk about, and it should be something that's understood, because when it comes to actual intercourse, with a straight man and a straight woman having intercourse, a lot of the times having just straight missionary position sex is not going to hit the right areas and take care of the things that need to be taken care of for a woman to have an orgasm. And the thing is like I said, I know men who talk about it's their wifely duty. Hey, maybe she'd want to have sex with you more often if she could figure stuff out. If you guys took time, if you spent time investigating instead of focusing solely on your pleasure. It's time to understand women enjoy sex. Women enjoy having an orgasm. A woman should have an orgasm every time she has sex, just as men have an orgasm almost every time they have sex. And a lot of times women are really good at taking care of men manually or orally, because we've all been in a position once or twice in our life where there was no protection and didn't want to get pregnant, or you're in a situation you weren't ready to have sex yet. Because a lot of times guys can explore their sexuality with their girlfriends, because like I said, women will manually take care of their men or orally take care of their men. Because a guy will a lot of times you'll be making out, and then it's like, but I still, a lot of times you don't hear women go, but I didn't, and generally, and like I said, not everybody, there are exceptions to the rules, but a lot of times in young love, when we're exploring sexually, guys aren't trying to manually take care of women. They're only trying to manually take care of women just enough so they can get what they want. Whereas women are like, okay, I don't want to get pregnant, and I'm not ready to have sex yet, so I will do these things for you. And again, we need to value the woman just as much as we do men. And again, yes, there are some men who do need to take a break from sex, and there are from masturbation and from porn, absolutely. However, I don't think never masturbating and never figuring things out for themselves and learning what they like is appropriate. And I feel like porn is really not an appropriate way to do stuff. But, again, it's different. Men and women's bodies are very different. And again, for women, having the toned pelvic floor muscles, just Kegels is fine. However, for women's sexual health, having an orgasm is very strengthening, is very helpful, and it helps keep you from incontinence, and it's very important. So again, say no to No Fap, women, ladies. and talk to your daughters or talk to younger girls, make them understand, or not make them understand, it's not the right verbiage, but help them to understand that their bodies are theirs, their sexuality is theirs, they can enjoy, and it's all good. Let's end the shaming, let's end all that sort of nonsense. All right, fellow travelers, thank you for talking with me today or sitting here while I speak. And I hope you are doing well. Peace, love, namaste.